Hello there, what is going on guys? Welcome to this Master Mode guide video for Dread Master Brontes. Yes, our adventures in Dread Fortress are coming to their conclusion and we're on the hunt for those elusive Wings of the Architect. I'm going to present the mechanics slightly differently in this video, splitting the fight up into 4 distinct phases. I'll talk about the mechanics for each phase, followed by the narrated footage. So if your group gets stuck on a certain phase, finding the mechanics and the narration for it in the timeline should be a lot easier. So with all that being said, let's talk about our group composition. 2 tanks. Our go-to is a Vanguard and a Shadow, the Shadow then being able to solo tank Brontes in phase 2. 4 DPS, and a good mix of range and melee is always useful. Finishing off with 2 healers. Mechanics. The first thing you'll notice is the blue orbs that you would normally see at the end of phase 2 are now present from the start of phase 1, and you deal with them in exactly the same way as veteran mode, running into them before they reach 20 stacks. The next thing you'll notice is the hands attuned to a random location. Keeping balanced DPS on them is still important. The damage debuff that they put on the tanks in master mode should not be taken lightly. And the last thing, as you transition from phase 1 into phase 2, there are more pairs of the reaches with the lightning in between, and the group is slowed, so you need to keep on the move. So here we go then, we've got our DPS working in pairs, trying to keep the DPS even on the hands, and we've got 2 people assigned from each pair to go off and kill the fingers when they spawn, usually ranged DPS. And we get our first blue orb spawning in from the far side there.
I am attuning.
You heard the communication there with the health percentages and when things were attuning. Our DPS are pretty well practiced at swapping to a target if they hear the percentages are off.
New fingers have spawned.
Mine's gone, farmer.
Okay, I believe, yeah.
I can see the other one. I can only see the projectiles. Nicole, can you kill it? It's at the back.
Flames are tuned, I got it.
Okay, I'm on it.
There's a blue orb just spawning on the far side there, and the player that it's on hasn't noticed. You're about to see just how punishing the damage can be if you don't keep an eye on the stacks.
That one was not
And we're
strong
just a
enough.
few seconds late here, killing this hand before the fingers spawn. In an ideal world, you would either kill the hand before they do, or kill the fingers and then the hands so that you don't have them during this slow phase. So there's a few more of these reaches than you're used to in veteran mode, but this does bring an end to phase 1. Let's talk about phase 2. The clone of Kefis has a couple of new abilities. One is a red tracking AoE that's tagged onto a player. It's unavoidable, so you need to move away from the group and pop a cooldown to absorb some of the damage. Secondly, he's going to apply stacks of corrupted nanites to a player. These need to be cleansed before the stacks get too high, usually 2 to 3 stacks. And finally, at the end of phase 2, the lightning beam that Brontes does can go clockwise or anti-clockwise, so your group needs to be prepared to go left or right to DPS down that first droid as soon as possible. That's your mini DPS check. So we pick up the fight right where we left it, just in time to see someone caught in a lightning. I'm taking these opening stacks of Arcing Assault. After this, my colleague on the Shadow will take the boss, and he'll deal with the Arcing Assault using Resilience and Stealth, just like in Veteran mode. My job is going to be to bring Kefis Clone to within melee range of Brontes so he can dot spread and AoE it down. Okay, come and get Cloney boy. Here's our first red tracking AoE being dealt with, and all throughout this phase he's periodically doing nanites that the healers are cleansing. Going to repeat this 3 or 4 times. We started this phase with a man down, so likely going to be 4 for us. And you want to watch for the boss health when the third clone dies. If Brontes is in the very low 50s, you can push. If she's any higher than 55, I would wait out for the fourth. But that will all be dependent on your group DPS, obviously. And just like in veteran mode, right towards the end of this phase, you get the appearance of the blue orbs once again.
There will be one more with us.
Fourth one is down. I won't stack it because I know the
Yeah, stop, full step on the DPS, please.
no stacking.
Yes.
Once Brontes reaches 50% health, she'll do the lightning arc. Remember, this can go either direction and your group needs to be on its toes. Tanks should try and clear away any remaining orbs so that the DPS can focus on killing the droid. We don't leave anything to chance on that first droid popping heavy offensive cooldowns. They will be off of cooldown when you need them next. And now that's over, let's talk about Phase 3. This phase is often referred to as the 6-finger phase, with the healers and DPS all being pre-assigned a finger to stand next to. The difference in Master Mode is this finger is now going to push the player away and give them a debuff, forcing them to swap to a different finger. This push does have a fairly extended range, and it will push more than one player at a time if you all line up like dominoes. So the trick here is to offset the push so that only you get pushed and not the player behind you. We execute this in a clockwise motion so that everybody keeps the same direction of travel. And lastly, once all the 6 things are dead, you will want to try and even the DPS on the hands. It's not imperative they die simultaneously, but you definitely don't want one hand being significantly higher than the other. The tanks do need to still keep killing orbs with them right up until both are dead.
I will know what you are truly capable of.
So the best place to watch here is the right hand side of the screen. Each player is about to get pushed by the finger and they've lined themselves up diagonally offset to the person behind. That way only they get the push from their finger and they can then work their way around on a clockwise fashion. Depending on your DPS, it is possible to have more than one push, particularly on the finger that your healer's been stood next to, especially if they haven't had any help from DPS up to that point. Just remember that every finger must have someone stood within melee range at all times. Once the fingers are dead, you can start to balance the DPS on the hands, avoiding purple circles while you do it. And you want to use this time to start to recover offensive and defensive cooldowns. This is not a race here. Save your big hits, what's about to come. Killing both hands will trigger the transition into the final phase and will also clear the arena of any blue orbs. Let's talk about Phase 4.
Gun.
So once you reach the final phase, there are going to be 2 hands in opposite corners. These are for your tanks to use to slam the blue orbs that are going to spawn around the arena. While doing that, they will also be DPSing it down. Once one of them reaches 5%, it will put up a shield, and the group needs to enter the shield to cleanse the stacks of supremacy that have been building on the group. How many stacks of supremacy you build before raising the shield to cleanse will very much be a group decision based on your healing. The more stacks you can take, the more damage you'll be able to put on the boss, and this is very much a DPS race here. Some positive news, this shield also offers the group damage immunity, and you want to use it to harpoon or pull in any orbs that are in the vicinity. You can kill them off without any penalty. Let's roll the footage and we can talk about this final phase in some more detail. So entering the phase, I'm going to taunt Brontes and with my Vanguard use hold the line, baiting the first push. This is just valuable DPS uptime. My attention then turns to getting aggro on the hand, and I'm going to aim it towards the corner over my right shoulder where the nearest blue orb can spawn. I've also got my eyes downfield to the opposite corner, and if a blue orb spawns there, I will turn and slam it. My co-tank will be doing the same on the other hand in the opposite corner. My hand will be the first that we push to 5% when the time comes. He will leave his above 5% with some margin for me to use some abilities. We're looking to get to 7 or 8 stacks of supremacy before we raise the shield. With the shield up, the whole group now needs to get in there and cleanse their supremacy stacks, including my co-tank on the opposite side, so I need to make a beeline to get over there to relieve him. Once I'm over here, I need to continue to slam as many orbs as I can, and I've also got to be careful not to over push the percentage on the hand until we're ready to cleanse again. Now with our tanks preoccupied like this, the healer and DPS group have been completely isolated with the boss. She's been pushing players back based on the aggro table, and my colleagues have been using this to preemptively use defensive cooldowns, taunts where necessary, to control her, keep her still, so they can maximise the DPS uptime. With the group now running out of defensive cooldowns, we push this second hand a little bit earlier, maybe 5 or 6 stacks, cleanse ourselves again, and then it's a DPS rush to the end. Tanks will be trying to keep orbs away. I'll be using harpoon, taunts, anything we can do to give the group space, keep players alive as long as possible. At some point, the inevitable will happen. You'll run out of taunts, you won't be able to control the orbs forever. Players are going to start to die, and the real question is, have you done enough DPS to get the job done before the group wipes? Luckily for us on this occasion, the answer is yes, and I hope that the answer is yes for your group too. And there we have it guys, Brontes is dead. So is our group, but we can revive and go get our loot. She cannot. I hope you've enjoyed the video guys, I hope you found it useful. Please like, subscribe, share the video, leave some comments, and I hope to see you on another video soon. But that is all from me in the Dread Fortress. For you guys, good hunting, and I'm out.